if I tell you about the walls of the heart, the walls are very simple. There are 5 walls of the heart. I make these 5 walls here. One is lateral wall, one is anterior wall, then inferior wall, then posterior wall, and then right side is right ventricular wall. So these are the 5 walls of the heart, right? And we just want to learn that if I want to know the information hidden in these walls with the aid of that ECG paper, what I should do. So this is what I should do. Now see what's happening here. I have placed one camera here. That camera is seeing my lateral wall. So if somebody ever asks me this question now, can you please tell me whether there is something wrong in lateral wall of this patient? Which lead now you will be focusing on? Lead number 1. So lead number 1, for lateral wall, you will be seeing lead number 1. Now see where these cameras are placed. These cameras are placed here. So they are seeing the heart from below, from underneath, from this direction. So cameras are placed here. So they would be seeing my inferior wall. Lead is like a camera. So to see the inferior wall, we need camera number 2, camera number 3. In other words, lead number 2, lead number 3. Up to that point, things must have been very clear to you now. That what was the whole idea behind forming these leads? The whole idea was to see whatever changes are happening in the chambers of the heart, you can interpret through these leads. Basically, lead is equivalent to camera. So you are seeing with that camera whatever is happening in these chambers. Now to make things more clearer and better, what the scientists did next? They said that now we have taken information related to these 3 chambers. We want to seek more detailed information. So what we are supposed to do? Just place more cameras. You want to see the heart? Place more cameras. You want to see it more in a much better way? You just need to place more cameras. Add more and more and more, and you will be seeing it from all the directions. So the next leads or the next cameras which were placed, these were named as unipolar augmented limb leads. The previous ones were bipolar limb leads, and now we are turning to unipolar augmented limb leads. I'll tell you the meaning of that whole statement. So now we have got how many leads? We have got 6 leads up till now. Lead 1 at 0 degree, lead 2 at 60 degree, lead 3 at 120 degree, and then now the next 3 leads are AVF, AVR, AVL. First, what we did, we basically draw that 360 degree circle. We actually divided that complete circle into 2 equal halves, right? And what we did, we draw 3 lines by exactly dividing it equally. यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक, from this point to this point 60 degree, from this point to this point 120 degree, from this point to this point 180 degree, right? We exactly divided that circle into 3 equal halves. Now we are going to divide the whole circle in 3 equal halves. So basically it's like that. This is the circle, complete circle. I am dividing into 3 equal halves. Now this angle is minus 30 degree. This angle is minus 150 degree, and this angle is 90 degree, right? So I am dividing it into 3 equal halves. Minus 30, minus 150. And on the basis of it, I am actually attaching 3 more cameras here. In other words, 3 more leads here. So I am naming this lead as, this is AVF, this is AVL, this is AVR. It's up to you. You could have named them. One was named as Rashid and other was named as Ramiz. We are just naming them as AVF, AVL and AVR because there is a message underneath. A, augmented. V for voltage, and F for inferior. For inferior, this word has been used. A is for augmented, V is for voltage, and this is on the left side. So augmented voltage lead on left side. So that's the purpose. And this one is augmented voltage, and this is on right side. So we are just naming it as AVR, AVF, and then AVF. This is unipolar augmented limb lead. I earlier told you that current is being dissipated to all the directions from heart, and these electrodes which we have placed over the human body, they are basically reading that current. Now we are studying through these unipolar augmented limb leads, we are studying the dissipation of the current from the center of the heart. So we take basically the center of the heart as one unified pole. First we place lead here and saw this dissipation, then we saw this dissipation, then we saw this dissipation. Now we are taking the center of the heart as one single unified negative pole. So in our discussion, which will be ahead, afterwards, we are basically now focusing on unipolar augmented limb leads. The unified negative pole is at the center of the heart here, or in other words, this is the central point here. And where are the positive poles? One positive pole is on my right shoulder. Already by using the same electrodes which you placed here, one you placed on the left foot and one you placed on the right foot. To memorize this thing, always remember the mnemonic, read your green book. R red, you place the red wire here, yellow here, read your green. Then green here on your left foot, and then finally black. Read your green book. So always remember, when you are placing these leads over a human being, remember this mnemonic. You will never forget that on which arm, which color lead should be placed. Wire same wires will be used, same electrodes. Those electrodes are having actually two wires. Now, while interpreting the unified augmented limb leads, the same electrodes are being used. Electrodes have already been placed, but now they will be telling us about the dissipation of current in these three directions. This central pole is the unified negative pole. It is in this direction. This is taken as AVR, in this direction AVL, in this direction as AVR, and in this direction it will be taken as. So the positive poles are on this point, and then on your foot, right? So these are the three positive poles. The negative one is inside. Now we have placed three more cameras, and I have already told you, camera always see towards that thing wherever it has been focused. So my camera is now here. Which side of heart it will be seeing? Lateral side. So one for lateral wall, now we have got another camera, another lead, that is AVL. Now we come to this AVF. Camera is placed here. Again seeing the inferior wall. So for inferior wall, I have got another camera, and that is 2-3 AVF. Then AVR. This camera is placed here. So tell me which side it will be seeing. Right ventricular wall, upper portion. So upper right lateral wall portion it will be seeing. As this is isolated single lead, so it's not that significant. Even if you just do not mention it that which wall of the heart it is seeing, because we need to focus on these 5 walls only. But sometime if someone asks you, you should be having a good understanding that, sir, AVR is on this minus 150 degree in that position. So definitely it will be saying right ventricular upper wall portion, right? Up till that point, we are already knowing a lot about this lateral wall and inferior wall, but the biggest wall of the heart is still there. So what to do for that interior wall? Up till now, what we were doing? Up till now, we were basically placing the leads in vertical dimensions. One camera here, one camera here, one here, one here. So if you make a circle, so that's basically, this is like that. That these are the directions on which these cameras are placed. Now I am going to place camera because the biggest wall of the heart, the most important one, the significant one, is anterior wall of the left ventricle. I just want to know information, whatever is happening in the chambers of the anterior wall. So where to place the cameras? We will be placing chest leads but now we will be using horizontal cameras. Initially the vertical ones in that direction. Now I'll be placing my camera here. So that's the simple thing which we do. We place these chest leads on fourth intercostal space, right side, V1. Fourth intercostal space, left side, V2. Mid clavicular line, V4. Between that V4 and V2, V3. All these four leads are placed in the fourth intercostal space. Then you will be placing lead V5 on anterior axillary line. This is in the fifth intercostal space. Then you would be placing the final lead in the mid axillary line, that is V6. So again, fourth intercostal space, right side, right sternal side, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. So this is how we will be placing V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. As you will be placing these leads, and as you might have seen somebody's ECG being done in casualty or in ward setting, so you must have seen here different electrodes are placed. And when you are seeing this thing, basically these are leads which are being placed. And when you are seeing these things, basically you are seeing these are cameras which are there installed. Now camera is here. What it will be seeing? The camera number V1, V2, V3 and V4 will be seeing my anteroseptal wall. So if somebody asks you that how you would be seeing your anteroseptal wall, you will be saying, sir, V1, V2, V3 and V4. These are the four cameras placed right here. They are seeing my anterior wall. And what about this rest of the portion or lower lateral wall? Two cameras installed here, V5 and V6. These are seeing my lateral wall. So again, we have got two more leads, two more cameras for lateral wall, V5, V6. Now if ever somebody asks you, can you tell me that this person is having lateral wall myocardial infarction? You won't take a second. You would just be focusing on lead 1, AVL, V5, V6. Somebody asks you, I'm having a suspicion after seeing this ECG. Somebody tells you, I'm having a suspicion that this person is having changes in the inferior wall, anginal changes. So where you will be focusing on AVF, AV, 2, 3 AVF, simple. So this is what we wanted to know. We wanted to know that the things which are happening inside the chambers of the heart, we wanted to interpret these changes by some means which is understandable to us, which we can see with our naked eyes. And this is what those scientists did, that with the aid of these cameras, with the aid of these leads, and actually with the aid of those electrodes, as they were very good conductor of electricity, so they were just picking up those fine electric currents and were showing it on that ECG paper. What next? Two walls are left. And if you guys have learned the camera thing up till now, if somebody asks you this simple question, that now you need to look for the changes in the posterior wall, whatever is happening. So should we place the cameras posteriorly? Because this is clear that camera see whatever is in front of it. So should I ask the person, that gentleman, now your ECG, frontal ECG has been done, please lie prone. I'll be placing these electrodes on your back and then I'll be seeing your posterior wall, as simple as that. So should I do that, or I should do something else? So the common sense is, and the clear cut picture is up till now is, yes, I should do it. But have you seen people ECG being done in that way in casualties as well as in wards? First we ask him to lie supine and then we just twist him and then ask to lie prone. So there is an alternate solution as well. There is an alternate way. But remember, This is the way that ECG is done. If we want to have a very clear, crystal clear picture of posterior wall, yes, you need to place camera number V7, V8 and V9. Where you will be placing these cameras? V7 here, V8 just close to the lower border of scapula, and V9 just across this scapula on the other side. So V7 posterior axillary wall, V8 here and V9 here. Yes, we do place these cameras, and we can easily interpret about the changes of the posterior wall by placing these cameras, by placing these electrodes, V7, V8, V9. But there is an other solution, and that solution is you just see that ECG. I need that one paper. Dear, I need just one paper. So what you do here, we will be seeing the anterior wall. We will be seeing the anterior wall, and in that anterior wall, this is a person's ECG. Say this is V1, lead number V1 of a person, right? I want to see the posterior wall. So either lead V1 or V2 will be chosen, and then what I'll be doing? I'll just be flipping that paper. I'll be flipping that paper. So as I will be having ECG in my hand, I'll be flipping that ECG. And as I'll be flipping it, this is the mirror image of lead V1 and V2. So you need to see the mirror image of V1, V2, and with that mirror image, you can comfortably interpret about that posterior wall. So there are two ways: mirror image of V1, V2, and then obviously V7, V8 and V9. That's the other way out. Now the right ventricular wall, again, I have already told you about the camera thing. So where we are supposed to place our cameras, where we are supposed to place our leads, answer is now towards the right side. Here I will be placing my cameras where? So the electrodes are placed on which areas? First it was V1, V2, V3, V4, V1, V2 will remain as such. But instead, placing my cameras on left side, now I will be placing on exact same positions but on right side. V4 mid-clavicular line, V3 between V2 and V4, anterior axillary line V5, mid-axillary line V6. But I name them as RV1, RV2, RV3, RV4, RV5 and RV6. Why? Because they have been placed on right side. So if ever you do that ECG on right side to see the changes in the right ventricular wall, let those V1, V2 stay as such, let this V1, V2 stay as such, and the rest of the leads to be placed like that. Now the lead RV4, remember, lead RV4 and lead RV5, or camera RV4 and camera RV5 will be seeing your right ventricular wall. So for that right ventricular wall, we use RV4 and RV5. We wanted to know about the 5 walls of the heart. We are having the picture here, the crystal clear picture here about these 5 walls. Now you must be having a real good concept that what was the basis, what was the underlying reasoning, what was that electrode thing, what was the physics behind. So this is what you are understanding here.